This is a special presentation. Welcome to the Inside Track, presented by Red Shores. Here is your host, Lee Drake.
All right, well, another special edition of Inside Track during Old Home Week 2019, leading up to the 60th running of the Guardian Gold Cup and Saucer. He's an owner, driver, trainer, race caller, and an exceptional writer. He's my guest tonight on Inside Track, Nick Oakes. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
You know, you have quite a family connection to harness racing. What was your first memories of being around this sport?
Well, from the day I was born, my father and my uncle always had broodmares. We always raised horses. So, we always had young ones around. I was only young myself, didn't really know a whole lot about the business, but learned a lot from my father. And then even on my mother's side, she wasn't connected to the business at all. But her mother is a Craswell, and her uncle, Bob Craswell, had a really nice horse called Stetson Any Size when I was a kid. He was in the Gold Cup himself a couple times. Mm-hmm. So, I got it from both sides.
Yeah. So your dad, Ken Oakes, of course, chair of, or was former chair of Standard Canada, and a great influence there. Who were some of the people who encouraged you to get involved?
Well, my entire family was very supportive of being involved in this industry. But, like anything, even the guys that I helped out around the track always said, you need to get your education. And so I finished high school, kind of resigned to the fact that I wasn't going to be involved in harness race and PEI full time. So I went to Holland College, graduated the journalism program there. And when I got out of that, I started getting some part-time gigs doing this and that. And I realized that, I can work full-time as a writer, and I can also train horses, and I can still live on Prince Edward Island. And, it's worked out very nicely.
Yeah, it certainly has. We always remember your first parimutuel drive. What can you tell us about your first parimutuel drive? What was it like, and where did you finish?
My first parimutuel drive, a friend of mine, Stephen Quinn, and his father, John, put me down on a horse, Cam's Powerball. Stephen wasn't really getting along with him. So they said, why don't you try driving him for a little bit, whatever. Anyways, I got the clever idea that I should leave with this horse right off the hop. Kenny Murphy had the rail with, I think it was a Laird, and parked me a half in 58 flat, and I think I paced around 2.5, and it didn't go that well. Now the funny thing is, that race was that was my first lifetime drive, and it was also Corey McPherson's first lifetime drive. Wow. He drove Port Bluff A in the same race.
Wow. It's interesting because you have such a connection there, and you remember your first drive and who you were driving against. You do have, though, as you mentioned, quite a few horses now in your stable. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I got 10 horses at home now. I bought my own farm. We're living out in Warren Grove, myself and my fiancée, Jessica, and my son, Noah. He just turned 2 the other day. Mm-hmm. And we have 10 horses. There's a riding horse, there's a broodmare. I think I'm training 6 right now. I just sold a few, and then last week we claimed a couple. One of them's racing tonight. Mm-hmm. He's got the 8-hole in the last race. And yeah, it's been working out very nicely.
I understand too, Nick, that you guys made some investment in your farm.
Yeah, like when we moved out there, it was 8 clear acres, a house. There was nothing there, but I was only 5 minutes from the city. So we built a barn, put in a track, put in paddocks, and then we had 6 horses, I think. And we said, that's great. Well, then we got a couple more, and then I had to put 24 feet in the end of the barn, and I put a shed on the barn, and it's a work in progress. But as I say, being able to live at home where you grew up, only minutes away from where I called home when I was a kid, it means everything, especially being Prince Edward Island. I
want to turn to the writing side of the business here, because you do a lot of writing for Red Shores, and we certainly appreciate that. And you've written some great stories over the years. Do you have any favorites?
I've written for outlets all across North America: Trot, Harness Edge, Canadian Sportsman, Hoofbeats, Horseman of Fair World, and some other non-harness racing publications. But my favorite story has to be any time you had an excuse to call Ron Pierce and interview Ron. He's one of the funniest guys in the history of the business by far. He was always great. And as for around Prince Edward Island, everybody's been terrific. Todd Trites was always a great interview, and there's it's really interesting to get people to actually tell you their stories.
You really do pull a lot of double duty. A lot of people don't realize that you're racing, and then later in night you're hitting deadlines for newspapers and different things. So you do a great job of that. Everyone has a Gold Cup memory, Nick. Which Gold Cup final stands out for you, and why?
Well, I started writing my column for The Guardian in January of 2010. Doug Harkness got sick in the winter that year. And, of course, it was his column. I took it over. And then he passed away in May. So that year was the first year I covered the Gold Cup and Saucer. Don Brander and Gary McDougall asked me, can you go cover the Gold Cup and Saucer Old Home Week for The Guardian? So Part Shark won, I think it was a Sunday afternoon trial, Scott Zeron. And I still remember standing down. It was down by the pylons on the turn, and I was talking to Scott. And, of course, you're starstruck. Now, the funny thing is Scott Zeron's the exact same age as me. Mm-hmm. But, this was a big-time driver. And I asked him, Part Shark, what do you think's going to happen Saturday? He just won the trial fairly easily. And he said to me, usually everybody says, if the trip works out, things will work out, whatever. No, Scott Zeron said to me, dead cold straight, he said, I've seen this horse race a lot and a half. I've driven him on a half. The second he makes front, nobody's going by him. Mm. And, you're just like, wow. And then, of course, I talked to him later in the week, and I asked him again, what do you think's going to happen this race? He says, I don't care if I have to get down there in 25-3. I'm making front. This race is over. Mm-hmm. And, well, he stuck his wheel in front, and Vance Cameron threw it into his call at the quarter, and it was a track record at the time, and it was one of the greatest Gold Cups. Yeah.
You know what? That's a great story. Really appreciate it. Yes, Vance did work it into the call that day. It was a great column and a great story all around. And we're going to play it for you right now. You know what? The 2010 Gold Cup final with Part Shark. Nick, thanks for coming in and joining us on Inside Track, and thanks for all the great work you do.
Thanks so much for having me. And, it's hopefully everybody has a great week. It's going to be one fantastic race Saturday night, one we'll never forget.
Yeah, that's for sure. The 60th running. Let's take you back to 2010 Gold Cup final with Part Shark and Scott Zeron as we lead up to the 60th running of the Guardian Gold Cup and Saucer.
Going to the gate in the Gold Cup and Saucer. Ladies and gentlemen, I take a lot of pride being the only voice to have Gold Cup and Saucer calls in 5 separate decades. Just means you're getting a little older. Cup and Saucer 51 all lined up. PH Tornado, Stonebridge Terror, Giddy Up Delight, Part Shark, Panda Bear, Royal Baguette, Price's Edition, Australios, the trailer is Proven Lover. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime at Charlottetown, and there they go, off end pacing Part Shark, first one away tonight. Second is Stonebridge Terror, coming up third is Panda Bear, at the rail in fourth, Giddy Up Delight, away in fifth at the inside, PH Tornado, then racing from sixth, Royal Baguette, at the rail in seventh, that is Proven Lover, then in eighth, Priceless Edition, and the trailer, Australios ninth, on the backstretch, Scott Zeron has put Part Shark right on the choo-choo tonight. Clear on the lead. Pacing second towards the rail. That's Stonebridge Terror. Watch the clock. Boom! Just like that. Fastest quarter. 26-4. That opened it up here on the front end. The leader, Part Shark. Second is Stonebridge Terror. Giddy Up Delight. Third at the rail. Then racing fourth, Panda Bear. Up the inside. That's the Newfoundland horse. That is PH Tornado. Royal Picket on the outside, 6. Proven Lover, 7th. Australios is 8. And the trailer, Price's Edition, 9th. 54-4. 28 seconds flat in the second quarter here. 3/8 to go. Zeron said if he makes front, they don't beat him. He's halfway on the backstretch now. Part Shark the leader. Second and right there, Stonebridge Terror. Up the inside, Panda Bear coming through. Giddy Up Delight back to fourth. Royal Piquette is there fifth. 1:22-3. It could be the fastest of all time. Turning for home, Gold Cup and Saucer. Part Shark the leader. From the outside, Stonebridge Terror. Panda Bear at the rail. Track record. It could be here. Part Shark. Scott Zeron in the Gold Cup and Saucer. Second was Stonebridge Terror. Finishing third, Panda Bear. Royal Piquette is fourth. Now it's only clock time here.
This has been a special presentation. The Inside Track was presented by Red Shores.